to see you, man. How you doing?
Doing wonderful.
Good to see you, John. All right, thank you for coming today. Welcome, everyone. This is the Space Coast TPO Governing Board meeting, and today is February 8th, 2024. Calling the meeting to order, and would you please stand with me as we say the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Medina must not be here.
Hoorah!
Thank you.
Okay, Zoe, would you please conduct the roll call to confirm a quorum?
Yes, okay. Allender.
Here.
Blake.
Present.
Cole. Felix. Feltner.
Here.
Forrester. Here. Glass.
Here.
Goodson. Hanley. Johnson. Kennedy. Medina. Minus.
Here.
Pritchett. Robinson.
Here.
Steele. Tobiah. Willis.
Here.
Young.
Here.
And Williams.
Here.
Was there anybody besides the alternates that I missed? Sorry. Give me 1 second. My sheet is not up to date. Is there any alternates here representing a member? I know, Daniel, you, okay. Is there anyone here in place as an official alternate? No? Okay. Give me 1 more second, I'm sorry. We have 8.
And we need 11?
We need 10.
We need 10. Okay, well, maybe we can do the things we'll do, and maybe someone will come in late.
We have 9.
Oh, we have 9?
Yeah.
Who did I?
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, we don't. 8. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm so used to seeing Councilmember Willis.
Yes, Mayor Blank.
Yes, ma'am. Are there at liberty to call in, ma'am?
We don't have them call in, no.
Not without a physical quorum.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, well, we can do the things that we'll do, and maybe someone will come in late. Anyone wishing to make a comment, and just fill out a speaker card, or make a comment not on the agenda, should complete a speaker card. We have 2 public comment cards. If you wish to make a comment for items on the agenda, also please fill out a speaker card and give it to Zoe up here at the front desk. And you will be called when your item is discussed. So we'll have public comment now. That way the 2 cards that I have can speak. Sandra Sullivan, would you like to come up?
Good afternoon, Sandra Sullivan. Just a couple things of concern to me. One was the last meeting, the FDOT made a presentation on how much money that they are spending, and the $654 million over 5 years going to basically the space Florida, where only less than 5% is going to capacity needs in Brevard County, and this very much concerns me with the fiscal cliff that has been discussed. So relating to that on impact fees, the county waived the impact fees for affordable housing, which we're not talking necessarily the low income, although it does include that, but the middle America, the broadest segment of the market for building rental, they will not be paying impact fees. So the other issue with impact fees that I would encourage you to weigh in on. The county is increasing. We have not increased transportation impact fees in over 23 years. And as was presented in the last meeting by FDOT, the resurfacing costs have increased by 27.7%. In other news, I reached out to CFX and was advocating because I was seeing on their website that they were looking at, it showed that CFX was going all the way to the port. And so they have made a statement that that is off the table for the foreseeable future because of a pushback. Excuse me. Lastly, thank you. Lastly, there's a project on State Road 513, and this road, I don't have current numbers, but maybe a year and a half ago, was at 89% capacity. It's one of the more congested roads in Florida, and they have a planned project to narrow the lanes and to put in a lane for the bikes. And I do understand that this is a priority based on Vision Zero. However, anyone that is driven there, I think this is just foolhardy, especially in our community. We have a proliferation, just taking off the number of golf carts that are not allowed to drive on State Road 513 nor on A1A, and yet they do every day. So putting in those bike lanes is going to cause a problem in our community that I would ask that this be looked into. They do have a public meeting coming up, and I will be doing public engagement for that. And then relating to golf carts, this city of Satellite Beach has requested of FDOT to do a variance on allowing golf carts to cross A1A. It does not meet the criteria by state statute to allow that. And their golf carts come up into unincorporated South Patrick Shores where I live, in other areas. And so doing a variance there is going to result, in my opinion, of other cities doing this, and we're going to have big problems because the number of these vehicles is increasing exponentially. I think we need to get a handle on how many. I think we need, under Vision Zero, some education that the LSVs should be licensed by the state and not be handled as a golf cart, and to educate the public more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Ms. Katie Delaney.
For your time today. I have some of the same concerns. The fact that less than 5% of the budget is going to our capacity needs is a huge issue, especially with the amount of growth we're seeing in Brevard County. And I really feel that the people here need an explanation for why Space Florida is getting such a huge chunk of that budget. You know, not saying they don't need it or whatnot, but there needs to be clear explanation to that. Also, this is more of a personal issue. Highway 46 up in Mims. It's probably one of our most deadliest roads in North Brevard. Recently, a resident that I talked to had to use his own forklift to pull a car out of a ditch. And unfortunately, this woman drowned. And so I know that this road has been an issue for a very long time. And so we really need to, I don't know what the process is to get this on the list, but this road needs some serious attention because people are dying and we need to do something about it. And so when I see Space Florida getting over $600 million of our budget, and we're having our residents dying on our roads, I have a real issue with that. So whatever we're doing is not working, and it needs to be revisited. So I hope that we start seeing more attendance at these meetings from our public officials, because I've been to 4 or 5 of these now, and half the tables are empty on a regular basis. And we really need our public officials to know what's going on and to step up on these issues and to advocate for where you live. Because we're not seeing that, and people are dying because of it.
Thank you, Ms. Delaney.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comments? I don't have any more cards. Now we have, all right, we're at 9. Okay, still trying to get this in here. All right, we'll move up to director reports. Georganna.
Well, good morning, members. It's great to see everyone. I want to welcome two of our new members, Mayor Blake and Council Member Stu Glass. Thank you so much. We look forward to a wonderful, very busy 2024. So thank you for being for your leadership and being on the board. I wanted to also mention that we do have some perfect attendance awards that we give out every year. Councilmember Hanley, perfect attendance. Councilmember Minus. Councilmember Young, yes. And last but not least, Councilmember Willis. So very good, very good. I have certificates here, and if you have time, we would like to get a picture out in the lobby before you leave, because we want to share it on social media. So thank you very much. There's a few things I want to update you on. FDOT is hosting a safety workshop on February 27th from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. at the Titusville Library. And they're looking for feedback as they develop their safety strategic plan. They will be sending out an invitation. The elected officials are going to be invited in the afternoon, beginning I think at 1 or 1:30. As Secretary Tyler will be there and will be presenting. And this is a joint meeting with the Volusia County folks as well. So this is a Brevard and Volusia event. And of course, we know that you all wear many, many hats and you're extremely busy, but we will send you that invitation, and just, it's an opportunity for us to sit around the table and really talk about how to improve safety, what's happening in your area, and help the department develop their plan. Also, I wanted to let everyone know that Brevard County did receive notification that they did not receive the infra grant award for the Ellis Road widening. So needless to say, we're very disappointed, $46 million shortfall on that project. The only Florida project that was awarded was the I-4 truck parking, which was for $180 million. And we only needed a measly $46 million, so they could have just helped us out there. 917 truck parking spaces along 4 sites on I-4, and this is in Volusia, Seminole, and Osceola County. And clearly, we all know that truck parking is extremely important and needed within Florida, and especially Central Florida, but it is very disappointing. So Brevard County has asked the TPO to take the lead or have our consultant develop a new grant when the opportunity for the infra grant comes out again and for Ellis, and we will do that, and we'll be ready. Secretary Tyler, FDOT Secretary Tyler, has encouraged us to apply again, because there are many times that you don't get it the first time, but a lot of local governments and MPOs will get it the second time. So we will do that because I don't know what Plan B is, so we have to. 2024 MPOAC Institute is now open, and there are 2 sessions, and I gave everyone a flyer. We encourage all of our members to attend. It could be a refresher, and alternates as well. You know, this is an event. It's a weekend event. We will pay for the hotel and reimburse you for your travel expenses, but it's a great networking event. You will really have an opportunity to wrap your arms around funding and transportation planning much deeper than what I'm going to present at the end of the meeting on Transportation 101. I know several members here have been to that event and say that it's just really good. And to be able to discuss things with your fellow elected officials throughout the state is a wonderful opportunity. You can compare information and talk about the challenges that we all face. On page 9 through 12 of your correspondence is a letter from Secretary Perdue to Secretary Buttigieg. And one of the letters is to all the MPOs in Florida as well. Basically, the state of Florida has told USDOT that it will not comply with setting performance targets for greenhouse gas emissions and developing a carbon reduction plan. They believe that FHWA has exhibited broad overreach in their implementation of the rule and has been left with no choice but to join 20 other states and file a complaint in federal court requesting injunctive relief to the rule. So FHWA has acknowledged the complaint, and they've extended the deadline for setting greenhouse gas emissions targets, to March 29th. The reason I'm bringing this up is because TPOs are required to establish greenhouse gas targets no later than 180 days after the DOT establishes their targets. So, understanding, these are issues more national and political in nature, but this might affect Brevard because, we receive a percentage of that greenhouse gas funding, roughly about $1.5 million to $2 million a year. And we have been pretty aggressively programming that money on some of our priority projects. Some of the funding has not been spent, so we're not sure, none of the MPOs are really sure if it's safe. Does that mean that the money goes away if we don't comply? We have to follow federal rule, which says we have to do it. DOT says they're not going to do it. And so we're going to continue to seek guidance from our D5 partners. So we just wanted to let you know about this, and we will keep you posted. So I also want to mention during this Florida legislative session, this is the biggest bill of concern in the transportation world. House Bill 7049 and Senate Bill 1032. This bill has significant impacts to MPOs and statewide transportation planning. This will require DOT to review each MPO's long-range plan and ensure it has connectivity to people and freight, and and that the plan is being progressively implemented, or the plan will be returned for revision. It requires DOT to set policy performance measures and a minimum acceptable score to rate each MPO's service to its communities, taking into consideration traffic congestion, the utilization rate of multimodal transportation facilities, and resident satisfaction. It would abolish the MPOAC, the Advisory Council, which is the unified voice for all of the MPOs. And it's where we get together to collectively, talk about policy along with our DOT partners in Federal Highway. And in your correspondence, you have Mr. Gugelman's legal opinion of the Senate bill. He has also provided a legal opinion of the House bill, which was emailed to you, to really kind of look at it from, federal inconsistencies. And so you also have some talking points at your place. A strike-all amendment to Senate Bill 1032 that removes the language that eliminates the Florida Transportation Commission from the bill and also takes out the provisions that DOT would take over a poor-performing MPO. This would really change the whole dynamic, really, between the Florida DOT and the MPOs, and it would zap local decision-making. So FDOT's central office has been very quiet, and they're not taking a position on this bill. and no one really understands what's driving it. But this is really important. And Mr. Gugelman, I don't know if you would like to add anything. I know you have went through that bill with a fine-tooth comb.
The latest word coming out of Tallahassee, which is merely rumor, is that what's going to happen is that the revised version of Senate Bill 1032, which eliminates the MPOAC, is going to be probably combined in the DOT's transportation bill, and it'll be pushed through. That way. If that happens, what that means is that the MPOAC, which, as you say, is the collective voice of all the MPOs, will be abolished effective July 1st, and be more authority for FDOT.
Yes. So you do have talking points. Again, no one really knows where this is coming from. What problem is it they're trying to solve? I mean, did someone do something really bad that caused this? No one knows. Yes, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, yes. Commissioner.
Just for
Rob?
some clarity on something, in the legislature, a 7,000 level bill in the House is a committee bill.
Correct.
So a committee bill doesn't move forward if the speaker doesn't want it to. So I would just suggest to you, if you're looking to see where it came from, it probably came from the fourth floor. So
Someone pointed that out at the MPOAC meeting, and I did not realize that. So that is a very, very interesting point for sure. So.
Thank you.
So you do have talking points. If you can get to our delegation, or if there's someone that you know that could maybe share the information about how detrimental, this would be potentially for the MPOs, we would very much appreciate it. And Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, but I think we have a question. Ms. Hanley,
I thought it was when I went to one of those classes that,
speaking to the mic.
I thought it, when I went to one of those classes about the TPOs and all that it was a federal mandated situation, that that had to be in a federal situation, that they can't just say, no, we don't want to do that. If I remember my class, maybe I need to go back for the class, but that's where my understanding is it's a federal. It comes from the federal, goes down to the state, and then comes down to us. So we take care of our local situations. So that's why I don't understand this bill.
And I think in Mr. Gugelman's legal opinion, basically this is against federal law. However, the MPOAC was created by the Florida legislature. But the other things related to long-range planning, all of the things that were pointed out in the bill, we already do. And also, Mr. Gugelman brought this point up, customer satisfaction. I mean, it really, I think, puts DOT in a terrible position. Can you imagine customer satisfaction if they were to poll citizens about I-4 or any other
Ellis Road,
any other roadway. There you go. Any other roadway within Florida. The MPOs do have authority over some federal funding, but certainly not all, and certainly not state funding, which is where the majority of the problems are on state roads. So again, the whole thing is very confusing and perhaps maybe some misinformation. So there you go.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the Technical and Citizens Advisory Committee report. Georganna?
Yes, the TACCAC met on Monday, and you have a summary of actions at your place. You also have the draft meeting minutes from December the 11th of last year, and the TACCAC attendance report for 2023.
Thank you, and now we'll do the Bicycle Pedestrian Trails Advisory Committee. Sarah?
Good afternoon, Sarah Crom, Senior Transportation Planner. Regretfully, I do not have a report today. We had to postpone the meeting due to several staffing issues with health and wellness. Tis the season, it seems to be right now. So it has been rescheduled for February 26th, and I look forward to reporting back to you in March. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, Space Coast Area Transit Advisory, Terry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Terry Jordan, Space Coast Area Transit Director. Just a quick report on things that have been done in transit recently. So our FY 2024 ridership has shown a 7.02% increase for year-to-date figures over last year at this point. So we continue steadily, once again, as I always say, rebound, and we're very glad that that's continued to be the course that we're taking. We're averaging about 6,500 riders per month, which is about 6,500 riders per day, excuse me. This is about 500 more riders per day over this point in 2023, over 23 average. And we're averaging about 2,000 riders per weekend day, which is about steady from last year at this time as well. Some of our highlights are we finally have new vehicles. One of our most recent new vehicles was delivered over the last several weeks. We're finishing up our ITS, which is the Intelligent Transportation Systems for the vehicles, so we can put it in service. And we expect that we put in service in the next coming weeks. Some of the things that we still continue to do is that we can track the vehicle in real time. Passengers have Wi-Fi on board the vehicle, and one thing that's new is that we've added USB charging ports, so passengers now can charge their mobile devices on the vehicle while it's in service and not walk off of a dead battery, because that's one of the excuses we have for our mobile ticketing system, is that their battery has died, so we now give them the ability to have Wi-Fi and charge the device. So that excuse is not going to be too much more valid. We are in the process of ordering another new vehicle, and these vehicles take about 10 to 12 months before they're built and delivered. So we take very stringent procedures when we are ordering to make sure that everything is included that is needed when the vehicle comes and is delivered. And it will have all the features that I just mentioned as well. Currently, we have the second in place, and we expect it to be delivered by the end of the year. And in addition, we will expect to also have at least 3 paratransit vehicles built and delivered by the end of the year. We're continuing to collaborate with our TPO partners for our Transportation Development Plan, which is our 10-year range plan, as you have seen in the past, that gives us a guideline for what we expect to do and what we expect to implement over the next several years. We also met this morning for a Mobility on Demand study, which is also going to look at fine-tuning the service that we operate to certain areas and give us a more efficient delivery of service. So areas where we don't have a large 40-foot bus traveling down small roadways, we have a small demand response type vehicle that will allow passengers to board at a bus stop or close to location to their residence and then be delivered within a zone or then to a fixed route to continue your trip. So those are all plans and things that we have in progress right now. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Ms. Hanley.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On I don't know if it's you or the city that on the corner of Sarno and Croton, Sarno and Croton, there was a garbage can. The garbage can has gone away.
And this is the same shelter we spoke about previously?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I'll make a note of it. I'll get back with our team. Typically, garbage cans that we install are affixed to the shelter itself. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're garbage cans that are
adjacent to it.
Adjacent, and as many of the Palm Bay's garbage cans are adjacent to the shelter, but I'll make sure one is replaced. We know it's a heavily used location, and I'll make sure that's taken care of.
I'd like to get, if we can, because people there really do, they keep it up, the people that use that area.
Definitely.
And I've seen they seem to be using that receptacle. It's a small one. If they can have a bigger one, like a bigger garbage can there, so that since they want to keep it clean, they don't want to mess around there. I know it's the most unusual bus stop. They try to take care of it there, the people.
Well, we're definitely well aware of the residents in that area do take ownership of that location. and I'll work toward having a larger receptacle installed at that location.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, yes, sir.
Mr. Robinson, yes.
This may, I know that you have answered this question in the past, but remind me, what is the criteria of having shelter put at the bus stop? Because I have a lot of residents complaining about some of the bus stops and I refer them to your phone number, so to speak, not your direct number, but to your office. But what is that criteria so to better equip me to respond to their question?
So one of the very first things that we look at is identifying that it can actually, that the location requested can accommodate a shelter. So there's some places where, and shelters require a specific setback from the roadway. So if you have the roadway and a grass strip and then nothing behind it, of course, we don't want to have the shelter abutting the roadway right beside it. So if a vehicle comes off the road, actually we just had one 2 days ago, as a matter of fact, where the shelter was completely destroyed. And it was about 15, 20 feet back off the roadway. So that's one of the biggest criteria, is that we want to make sure that our citizens are safe when they're waiting for the bus. Secondarily, we take a look at ridership at the location to make sure that we're getting the most bang for the buck. And in a lot of cases, we partner with agencies like FDOT, City of Rockledge, and other areas that we partner with to make sure that when we're installing a shelter, we have that collaboration with the local municipality. But I say first and foremost is that making sure it's a safe location and it can accommodate that shelter.
Second question, I think you've answered in the past about this when it first came up. Well, you were ordering some vehicles, if you will, some buses that was electric. And I have, as my research goes along and being nosy about things, or inquisitive, which is the most professional, they're having some serious problem with the electric buses, I understand. So where are we standing? Are we still pursuing that by mandate, or we should kind of wait and see attitude on that?
Well, thank you for that question. And I'd like to clarify. So what we have done is we've ordered hybrid electric vehicles that allow for the diesel engine to recharge the batteries. So we don't have to have a charging infrastructure in place. We continue to pursue hybrid electric vehicles instead of fully electric vehicles. And one of the biggest reasons is the charging infrastructure, and secondarily, the range of the vehicles. You know, if we were to implement a fully electric vehicle in Brevard County, there are only a few routes we could put that bus on because of the need for it to continue in service throughout the day and not have the ability to recharge it as it operates. So that's one of our biggest concerns. So what we do is we pursue hybrid electrics at this time. The vehicles that I just mentioned being ordered are diesel, and one of the reasons that we're going that route momentarily is because the cost of a hybrid electric is about $900,000 right now, and we're still looking at fully diesel buses, just a little bit over half that, 5 and change approximately. But those numbers change. By the time it came out of my mouth, it's a different number. That's how much they're changing so frequently. So the two current buses that we're having, the one delivered and the one on order, are diesel, but we still continue to pursue hybrid electric, but not fully electric. We do not have the cost comparisons yet for the hybrid electric vehicles that we have by comparison to the maintenance, but we have very low maintenance expenses on that vehicle. And primarily because it's a very small engine that's operating the full bus, and we haven't had any battery concerns at all. So we are having very good experience with, once again, hybrid electric, but not fully electric, and we haven't really entertained pursuing it 100% at this time. We thought about it in the past, but like as you mentioned, after research, we determined that we'll still wait and see the technology improve before we go that route and expend funds on something that may become a concern. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Myers.
Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have mine is twofold also. On University Boulevard in South Melbourne, I will say directly across the street from Hickory Point Apartments, there is a complex there. It has a bench there. I had that put there several years ago, but I'm not sure if it's on the private property of that apartment complex. But that bench is getting worn. So would you need permission to put a bench there? I think it would be pushing if I asked for a shelter because we have one just at the corner of Babcock and University. But if we can look into having a secure bench set there for those seniors who are walking across University to get to that bus stop. Okay, definitely appreciate that. My other point is, and I think I've asked this probably a few months ago, even last year, about Barefoot Bay, of having some transportation from Barefoot Bay to Winn-Dixie or maybe to the mall or wherever, not necessarily all the time, but, you know, maybe once or twice a week, you know, they can, those seniors down there can have access through transportation to, you know, to get to, I don't know, maybe a doctor's appointment or even just transportation to get to Winn-Dixie. So if we can look into that, that.
So to answer the first question about the bench at University and Hickory Point Apartments, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'll look into that. I can't see it in my mind's eye to be familiar enough with the area. However, if there's a bench there and it's on a concrete slab, we very likely could replace the bench if it's worn, dilapidated, or if there's any concerns with it being, you know, unsafe for use. We'll definitely see about replacing that as soon as able. And if it is on private property and it is not a Space Coast Area Transit bench, then we can work with whomever to see if they would be willing to have us replace that bench, because I'm sure it's not an advertising bench, with one of ours, if it's the case. Secondary, for the Barefoot Bay, they actually do have a vehicle for the seniors. Is operated by the Barefoot Bay residents. So they have a vehicle available to them. It actually is parked there. It's a 14 passenger van that they have access to. They don't have to speak to us about it. We actually have the vehicle parked there. They use it, as you mentioned, twice a week to go to grocery and shopping errands. So if there's any way I can provide the information to the individuals that are asking for that, we'd be glad to. If they can call our office and get the specific details. We actually just recently had this conversation with the Micker Road closing because the residents on the western part of the roadway wouldn't have access to out to US 1, so we shared that there was a vehicle that was actually located in the area that can be utilized. So if there's any concerns, we can definitely see about addressing it, but once again, they do have access specifically for what you just requested. And second, Space Coast Area Transit operates the demand response service for individuals that need to use that service to go to doctor's appointments and things of that nature. In Brevard County, and Indian River County provides service south to Indian River County, like if they're going to Sebastian. So the services are there as it stands right now.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Any other questions from the board? I have one speaker card who would like to make a comment before we move on. No other questions from the board. Sandra Sullivan, you wanted to make a comment on this subject?
Thank you, ma'am.
It's really a question. Recently, under the county commissioner meeting, about $250,000 was approved by the federal government for additional shelters in Brevard County. And I have been advocating for considerable time for them in South Patrick Shores. We have a large veteran community. Our benches are in deplorable condition. One of them was laying on the ground for probably close to a year with Brevard staff mowing around it. Other ones are in really poor condition. So I thought it was a good time. We do have about the same ridership as Satellite Beach, and they have shelters, but you know, here in unincorporated, it seems like when you're in an unincorporated area, you don't get quite the same level of support as the cities being prioritized. So we were promised by the previous commissioner that we would have them, shortly, and that's yet to manifest. So I'm curious where the $250,000 worth of federal funding for bus shelters, where those bus shelters are going, if that question could be answered.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. All right, we have another report from Chuck from Florida Department of Transportation.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
is it possible to work on our action items since there's a quorum currently and then go back to reports?
So we can keep the quorum?
Yes, ma'am.
We have one more report from Chuck, and then we're done with this, and then we can move on down to that. We can probably do the consent agenda. Well, we need to vote on that too while we have a quorum as well. Is that all right, Mr. Medina?
Carry on, ma'am.
Did you have to leave? Because we need to keep a quorum, so I'm...
Ma'am, I made a suggestion, ma'am. Carry on. You're the chair.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm Chuck Copernell with FDOT, and I will be presenting updates to projects that have changed status since December 2023, along with updates to key future projects that are of interest to the board. We have 3 projects that have begun recently. First, State Road 500 US 192 at Hollywood Boulevard, involving pavement widening to accommodate additional turn lanes along US 192 and Hollywood Boulevard. I'm pleased to announce that this project started on January 28, 2024, and there will be multiple lane closures occurring throughout this project. The project is expected to be complete in spring of 2025. Next is State Road 520 from Cox Avenue to Aurora Street, which involves enhancing safety to reduce the number and severity of crashes by reducing conflict points, closing some median openings, and constructing directional median openings. This project will also construct new left turn lanes and extend existing left turn lanes based on the individual intersection needs. This project started on February 1st and is an estimated completion of spring 2025. At this time, no lane closures are scheduled for the immediate future. And finally, the intersection of State Road A1A and State Road 518, which involves removing existing free-flow right turn lanes and constructing new right turn lanes that will be under signalized control. This project also involves adding a second westbound lane on State Road 518, lengthening the left turn lane from eastbound State Road 518 to northbound State Road A1A, and also to create a dual left turn from northbound A1A to El Gal Boulevard, and add a new mid-block crossing just south of the intersection. This project also began on February 1st, and its expected completion date is early 2025. Multiple lane closures will also be involved throughout this project, and they have begun February 4th. Next, I'd like to report that 2 projects are now ahead of schedule. This includes the NASA Causeway Bridge replacement, which originally had a completion date of spring 2026, is now expected to be complete in the summer of 2025. The contractor was able to attach another crew to the project, thus reducing construction time. Another project is Galaxy Way at Kennedy Parkway. This had a late summer 2025 completion date and moved up to an expected completion date of early September 2025. Due to the contractor implementing improved maintenance of traffic, or MOT, allowing the contract to eliminate having to install a temporary pavement lane. Additionally, I'd like to report that the State Road A1A safety project involving the installation of 12 raised pedestrian crossings has been delayed because it has been sent back to design to address comments of concern submitted by the citizens of Cocoa Beach. During the meeting involving FDOT and the city of Cocoa Beach, it was voted that 11 of the 12 crossings would be eliminated, leaving the north crossing to be installed. And in conclusion, I'd like to report on future projects of considerable interest to the board. First, the I-95 and Malabar Road intersection PDE is scheduled to begin in fiscal year 2025 to address the capacity issues related to that intersection. The State Road 520 Cocoa Beach Causeway analysis will start this current year to address the flooding issues. And finally, the resurfacing of I-95 in Brevard County. The following sections are programmed as such. Fiscal year 2025, the section from Malabar to State Road 519. In fiscal year 26, South County line to Babcock and State Road 50 to State Road 46. And in fiscal year 27, 528 to Addison Canal and State Road 46 to the southbound rest area. I'd like to thank you for your attention. I'd like to open the floor to any questions.
Yes, Skip?
Yes. Thank you for your report. As far as the safety project on A1A from Crescent Beach to Minuteman Causeway, your folks came and spoke to our commission. Were you there?
No, I was not.
Okay. There was 3 of them. Anyway, we got them in and out, and they offered us 2 options. One was eliminate all the raised crossings and just go with flat, or go with the raised crossings. And we chose kind of a hybrid with that one on the south end of town down by Crescent Beach as raised because of the northbound traffic coming from Patrick that's going 55, and then it drops to 45 and it drops to 35, and most people are still coming into Cocoa Beach at 50 miles an hour. So we thought it would be a little bit of a traffic calming to have that first one there. So they go, oh, what changed? Oh, look, there's a 35 mile an hour speed sign. So. And they seemed amenable to that, and it sounded like it was going to move forward in that respect.
Well, I'm not too familiar with that aspect of it, sir, but if you want me to get some more information on where they're at.
No, it sounded like they were going to move forward on it, and so, you know, it's always good to bring options to the communities and come up with a solution that's good for both sides. So thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
And then the other thing is, I think you said something about, it's not in the notes, but about addressing the flooding on 520.
Yes, on the causeway?
Is this between Merritt Island and Cocoa Beach?
Yes.
Okay. So how do I follow up on that moving forward?
Well, the way we can start, sir, is I can get with you later. We'll exchange contact information, and I will find out project managers and who's directly involved with the project, and I can get you involved in a email chain to begin with and get the right people that you know who to contact in the future.
Right. I just like to, you know, it's important not only for hurricane evacuations, but, you know, when we do get high water in the river for other reasons, it does actually flood
the sidewalks, from what I understand.
Well, the sidewalks, and it actually encroaches on the roadway. And you know, the hospital's there currently. I know it's eventually going to be moved, but we want to make sure people can get back and forth to the hospital.
Absolutely.
Commissioner, that project, we requested it to DOT because of your concern, and it has been a concern for a long time. So we will have Cocoa Beach at the table with us, and the TPO will be heavily involved in that project as well. So lots to come.
So I'll go through you as a conduit instead of going through Ms.
You can do either one, to let you know.
If you're going to keep me informed,
yes.
I won't.
Yes, sir.
I won't task that to
I will do that.
I can also keep you on the email chains, CC. We can keep everybody on board that we need to.
Okay.
Yep.
And they have my email.
Yes.
Okay. I can find it out that way as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, and thank you, Chuck, for your report.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair. Thank you, Board.
Thank you. All right, so we do have some items that we have 2 roll call votes coming up. We do have to get to this, so we're going to switch the consent agenda, and we'll do that after. Anyone have a problem doing the consent agenda after we do the action items?
Well, if you want, we can not just read the consent agenda, we can just approve it right now.
Does anyone have a problem with that?
So move.
All right, so moved, and we have a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, signify by aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we'll move to the consent agenda. Mr. Gugelman.
Okay, we're now on to elections of officers, and I'll be handling the election of the officers. I'll then return the gavel to the chair for appointments with regard to some of the various committees. The first position that we have open for consideration today is the position of chair, which is currently held by Councilmember Andrea Young. Nominations are now open for this position, and nominations do not need to be seconded. Is there a nomination?
I nominate Adria Young if she's willing to continue to serve.
Thank you. Yes, I would be very
I
happy to serve.
didn't see who did that, but we have a nomination for
Skip Williams.
Skip Williams for Andrew Young. Any other nominations? Going once, twice, three times? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to close nominations and elect Andrea Young by unanimous consent. We have a motion by Mayor Blake, seconded, and discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
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 Opposed, and the motion passes. We now move to the position of vice chair, currently held by Councilmember Yvonne Minus. Nominations are now open.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion by
Allender.
Commissioner Allender to nominate Ms. Minus. Any other nominations? Going once, twice, three times? Seeing none, we'll accept a motion to close
So moved, sir.
nominations and
Close
cast
the floor.
unanimous ballot. By Mayor Blake, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second to Allender. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
We now move to the at-large positions on your executive committee. We have three positions. They are currently, we moved to the position of secretary, and that is currently held by Vice Mayor Joe Robinson. Nominations for secretary are now open. All right, we have a nomination by Ms. Minus for Vice Mayor Robinson. Any other nominations? Going once, twice, three times? Seeing none, we'll accept a motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot by
Second.
Mayor Blake and second by,
Second.
I didn't see who did it, but
The handsome
Oh,
mayor from Palm Bay.
the handsome mayor.
Devil dog.
There you go. Okay. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. We now move to the position of executive committee member. And we have executive committee members we have one vacancy in that position. Commissioner Allender is the holdover in that position, and the other position is vacant. So for the first position, Commissioner Allender's position.
Moved. Second.
Okay.
Floor.
I'm
I know, sir. I know.
I'm getting a nomination by Mayor Medina, it looks like. All right. Any other nominations for Commissioner Allender's executive committee position? Once, twice, three times? Seeing none, we'll accept a motion to close nominations and cast unanimous ballot by Mayor Blake.
Second.
Second by Mayor Medina. Discussion, seeing none. All those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The motion passes. Congratulations to all of you for your reelection. We now have a vacant position on the executive committee, and we will accept nominations.
I'll nominate Councilwoman Mimi Hanley.
Okay, nomination by Councilmember.
Kenny Johnson. Kenny Johnson.
Yes.
Kenny Johnson.
Yeah, sorry, hello. For Councilmember Hanley. All right, any other nominations? Going once, twice, three times, we'll accept a motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot by Mayor Blake and the second by
Allender.
Allender. Discussion, seeing none, all those signify by voting aye.
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 Opposed, like sign, the motion passes, and congratulations. I now return the gavel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we will move on to item B here.
Well, Paul, do we have the Alliance and the
Yeah, I
MPOA?
think she's going to take those up.
Oh.
Isn't she? Are you want
Okay.
to handle those?
I didn't know that I was doing this.
Oh, well, I mean, I can handle it. That's
Yes,
fine.
please.
You want me to go ahead and do
No,
it?
Yes, please.
All right.
We want you to do it.
All right. Want me to do it? Okay, we have for Metropolitan Planning Organization Advisory Council Representative Your representative currently is Councilmember Young. Will accept nominations for that position.
So moved.
By
My Glass.
Councilmember Glass nominates Ms. Young. Any other nominations? Going once, twice, three times? Seeing none, we'll accept a motion to close
moved.
nominations by Mayor Blake and second by
So moved.
Allender. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Chairman,
Yes.
Chairman
Yes,
Gillette
Mr. Williams.
and our legal counsel, is it legal to make a motion to, unless any of those people don't want to reserve, to nominate all of them and just do them all at one time?
We certainly can do that if you want.
That's my motion.
Well, I would second that motion
Okay.
with the amendment of adding Councilman Kenny Johnson as the SCPTO representative instead of Councilman Randy Foster.
I'll accept that amendment.
Second.
So I second that.
All righty. So we get this for the minutes.
Yes.
We are making the following appointments. For MPOAC Representative Alternate, Councilmember Don Willis. For the Central Florida Alliance, the SCTPO representatives will be Councilmember Young, Councilmember Minus, Vice Mayor Robinson, Councilmember Felix, Councilmember Johnson, and Councilmember Williams, the last three being alternates. And then the position of Chair of the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board will be Councilmember Young. Do I have that motion correctly?
Yes.
And that motion is by Mayor Medina, and there is a second.
Well, he made the first. I seconded it with that amendment.
Okay, I'm sorry. Commissioner Williams motioned and second by Mayor Medina. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and the motion passes. I now return the gavel to the chair.
All right, well, that was easy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your vote of confidence. Yes, Ms. Minus?
Correction, I am a council member, but my title is vice mayor.
Okay.
For the record.
Vice Mayor?
All right.
Vice-
For at least a year.
All right, we're going to go to the approval of the resolution. As soon as Georganna comes back to her seat here, we'll go on with B. Oh, it's Debbie. I'm sorry. Did not see your name, Debbie. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, Debbie Flynn.
Good afternoon.
Space Coast TPO, Transportation Planner. There are occasionally times when the Space Coast TPO may find it necessary to amend long-range transportation plan outside of the 5-year update cycle. Today, the Space Coast TPO is requesting to advance one project to the long-range transportation plan. State Road 524 Winding Project has been updated to reflect the funding change in Table 11.2, Other Arterial State Federal Funds, projects of the Long Range Transportation Plan, with an estimated cost of $7.4 million for design for fiscal year '25. The amendment also includes a minor administrative update to Malabar Road Widening Project in Table 11.4, Mixed Funding Projects of the Long Range Transportation Plan, with an estimated cost of $9.975 million for design in fiscal year '24. The estimated costs reflect current funding estimates. The changes will not impact the cost feasibility of current or future projects. The Space Coast TPO seeks to amend the 2045 Long Range Transportation Plan by Resolution 2410, 2045 Long Range Transportation Plan Amendment Number 5 to comply with planning consistency requirements. An amendment requires public review and comment in accordance with the public involvement process for the Long Range Transportation Plan amendments. Such notice was conducted with the posting of the Space Coast TPO today's meeting, February 8th, notice and included with the meeting agenda posted on the Space Coast TPO's website on January 29th, 2024. Space Coast TPO is requesting approval of Resolution Number 2410-2045, Long Range Transportation Plan Amendment Number 5. And I'm here to answer any questions.
I move it.
Second.
Was that you, Mr. Medina? Did you make the motion?
Yes, I made the motion to approve Resolution 2410,
All right.
2045 Long Range Transportation Plan Amendment Number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Medina. That was seconded by Mayor Blake, and this is a roll call vote. Zoe, please call the roll.
Okay. Allender,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes, please, sorry.
Feltner.
Yes.
Glass,
Yes.
Hanley,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Minus,
Yes.
Robinson, Young,
Here, yes.
Coast Guard.
If me do it.
and Williams.
Yes.
Semper Paratus.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. Motion passes. All right, next item.
All right. This one is mine. This is a housekeeping item. The DOT has requested 2 project amendments to our currently adopted Transportation Improvement Program, and the first one is an FTA funds, transit funds, 5310 operating for the Palm Bay, Melbourne urbanized area. It's for $112,604 in 2024. And the last one, the second one, is for State Road 405 South Street. This is from State Road 50 to Angela Lane. This is a priority for the city of Titusville. The TPO funded this project for a potential future widening project, and this is the planning study, $575,000 in fiscal year 2024. Part of that funding is the carbon reduction funding that I had talked to everyone about earlier, but this is programmed on a project, and we think that the funding is secure. So we are requesting approval of the TIP amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Blake, second by Minus. Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Allender,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes, please.
Feltner,
Yes.
Glass,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Medina,
Aye.
Minus,
Aye.
Robinson, Young,
Aye.
and Williams.
Yes.
What am I, chopped liver over here?
I'm sorry. Hanley,
Yes.
sorry.
Motion passes. Thank you. All right, next item is approve the resolution 24-13 SCTPO Vision Zero Action Plan. This is Shelby. Thank you, Shelby.
Hello, thank you.
We have a speaker card on this item as well.
Sorry, of course Debbie goes before me, the smallest. All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. This will be quick. I just have a quick presentation on the update. So for those of you who joined us in October, we gave our annual update on the Vision Zero program and also talked about how most of this past year we spent a lot of time updating our action plan. So today I'm here to hopefully get that adopted and moving forward. We did not put the whole plan in the packet. It is very long, so we did put a link in there and put the strategies for you. So hopefully you had time to review that before today. So I wanted to go over the why. Why did we update this plan now? The big reason being for the Safe Streets for All US DOT funding. So part of that funding requirement meant that we needed to have an action plan that checked some boxes, and our current plan did not check the boxes needed to access that funding. So we wanted to go back and make sure that our current plan met those requirements. So we went through and made those updates. We also went through and updated a lot of our strategies and our goals because we had already met and exceeded many of those, and also incorporated some of the new or the best practices and the methodology that's come out since we first adopted Vision Zero back in 2019. So some of the significant updates that we made in the plan, we're setting a target date to achieve zero. The high injury network, obviously the data has been updated since 2019, 2020. There's an equity analysis now included, as well as our targeted safety corridors and some new objectives and strategies. And these are all things we've talked about prior to today, but if you're new, you'll see those in the new plan. And throughout the plan, you'll see, new graphics and new ways to, again, humanize that number of the crashes and serious injuries and fatalities that we see on our roadways. So one of the big changes is that a requirement from USDOT as part of those grants for SS4A is to set a target date. And so we went with 2050 to align with our long-range transportation plan goals. We thought that that was a good tie-in. We could kind of pull everything together with that number. So we set 2050 as our target goal date with this action plan. Also have our high injury network updates in there as well. This is just one map. We have local jurisdiction maps in there and also have breakdowns by mode included. So there's several pages in the action plan that break this data down. Our equity analysis is included as well. And with both our high injury network and our equity analysis, we were able to identify targeted safety corridors. And so these are areas in the county that we have previously studied that also fall along our high injury network and fall within those equity areas, those areas that we want to target. And lastly, what I think are the most important are those action plan strategies that we were able to update. So that's how we're going to be able to use this plan moving forward, both as on our staff, but as well as through our Vision Zero leadership team to really identify how we want to move forward with our actions. And so one thing that I always remind the folks, especially on our leadership team, is that we're not an implementing agency. We can't go out and build the roads. We really can be limited in that capacity. And so I wanted to make sure that these strategies really reflect, one, what are the things that we can do with the TPO and maximize that, but then two, how can we best serve our partners, our municipalities, our county, and providing them with the resources they need to do what they can do to achieve zero as well. And so these updated strategies, I think, really reflect that. And so today I am asking to adopt our plan through Resolution 24-13, and that is what we're here today. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Shelby? No? All right, we have a motion to approve the resolution, please.
Motion. Second.
Mr. Robinson made the motion, second by Mayor Blake. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item, please.
All right. This is the last action item, and I'm going to make it quick, Mayor, I promise.
Excuse me. Sorry, there was a public comment for the Vision Zero
Oh, yes, there
item.
was, and I even said that. I'm sorry, Sandra Sullivan has a comment. Thank you, Zoe.
Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. So one of the previous presentations we had showed that the number of accidents for bikes and for pedestrians was going down, but another category was going up, and it was unclear what that is. Now, what I see is the proliferation of electric vehicles, whether it's electric bikes, whether it's one-wheelers, a lot of golf carts. The number of golf carts is going crazy. So what it says in the second paragraph is, whereas SCTPO conducts safety studies, implement program, and provide bicycle and pedestrian education. What I would suggest here is provide bicycle, golf cart, or electric and pedestrian education, because that other category that is gone up pretty substantially, I think is very concerning. And, corresponding to that, I've lamented about how beachside, we have cities encouraging the golf carts to cross A1A, which is not allowed to cross a state road. FDOT is aware of this. There needs to be education. We had a law change in October and still no education. I think that the school kids are still riding them even though they might not be of age. So I would ask that golf carts specifically be added to the resolution in light of the concerns that have been expressed by the communities and meetings with FDOT directly and with our commissioners, et cetera. I think there's a lot of coordination that could be done, like we were promised signs for no golf cart crossing A1A. It's been a year. They still haven't come. Thank you.
Ms. Sullivan. All right. Last item, action items. E.
Okay, Brevard Rail Safety. Initial discussions have begun with stakeholders, specifically Melbourne and Brevard County and COCO, high-level COCO, to begin early coordination to apply for a discretionary grant from the Federal Railroad Administration. And this is just a potential grant opportunity for those 10 crossings in Brevard County that do not have the quad gates or medians or, exit gates. And so this will be, we were approached by Brightline, and they cannot apply for a grant, but we can certainly take the lead on it with our local government. So this is very early coordination. We think that the grant opportunity may actually come out in March. So what we are asking is for your approval to authorize the director to execute a consultant work order for a potential grant opportunity. There's a lot that still needs, a lot of coordination, a lot still needs to be worked out. But if we do get the opportunity, we're going to have to move quickly. And we will certainly bring it back to you guys and let you know throughout the process.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mayor Medina, and second, Mayor Blake. All those in favor of authorizing the director signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Thank you. Motion carries.
And thank you for always thinking about these grant opportunities, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Kudos.
All right, next item, presentations, item 6.
Oh, okay. That's me. All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, this is really for the new members, but it's also a refresher for the veterans that are in the room. So this is a little Transportation Planning 101. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. All right, this is going to be our agenda, and I'll move through it pretty quickly. I don't want to go into intricate detail on all of these items. It's just a very high level. Also, we're a transportation planning organization. Some of you may not realize that, however, you hear me say MPO all the time. That's a metropolitan planning organization. They have the same meaning and they're interchangeable. We all call ourselves different things throughout the state of Florida. So what is a MPO or a TPO? Understanding the origin of MPOs is really crucial for comprehending your role in the system. In the early 20th century, the goals were to connect farms to markets and create better country roads for cars. And then by 1944, Congress and the administration agreed upon the general outlines of a national highway program that would connect all major cities in the country. The most critical change in federal policy that launched a lot of spending and led to a lot of other changes is the emergence of the Interstate Highway Program. And by the 50s, conversations were to provide for national defense, promote commerce and trade, and job creation. And in 1956, a 41,000-mile system was approved. And Uncle Sam said, we need to dedicate revenue. And they collected federal fuel taxes, and they established what is known as the Highway Trust Fund. And then coordination began to become an important issue when this happened. One of Miami's oldest and historic communities, Overtown, experienced neighborhood bulldozing during the construction of I-95 in the 60s. And this, forcibly displaced, 12,000 plus residents, almost all of whom were Black. And this was originally a community settled by Black American railroad workers for Flagler's FEC line. And let me back up just a minute because I want to mention, when I was discussing this, the federal government really had no desire to construct it, and they generated the revenue and then passed it to the states. And they said to the state highway department, you figure out where the interstate's going to go and you just make it work. And the states got busy, and immediately the communities and the cities started complaining as the interstate passes through, over, and in some cases completely bypassed cities. And the state road departments, by and large, did not invite the cities to the planning table. And everyone was trying to figure out how to have a voice in the process. And the cities and the county began collaborating with any local regional boards they had available. And so transit services were predominantly privately owned and operated. And then by mid-century, transit was in serious financial trouble due to the heavy marketing of the automobile. And when private providers sold out or went bankrupt, cities were faced with unexpected responsibility of providing public transit service. The first federal support for transit came in the Housing Act of 1961, and there was a modest amount of funding from the federal government for urban public transit, with most of the money going to capital acquisitions, not operating expenses. And in the 1962 Highways Act, Congress came up with a concept that there ought to be a better process for planning activities. And we're sharing this piece of legislation because it continues to drive the transportation planning train today in everything we do. All transportation planning supported by the federal government uses the 3C process: continuous, comprehensive, and cooperative. Continuous meaning you don't put it on the shelf and forget about it. An example would be our long-range plan. Circumstances change, needs change, but there's got to be an ongoing planning process. Comprehensive, Congress was already thinking about already beginning to think about more than just roads and cars. You should be thinking about transportation as a comprehensive system of ways that things and people move around. And then cooperative. Congress said, we're hearing from the mayors and the city council members and the commissioners, and they don't like what you're doing. Would you just please sit down and make nice? It was a nice thought, but it didn't have any teeth. And so this is embedded, the 3C process is embedded in our planning model today. And of course, there was a lot going on in the 60s. Every time the federal government engages in a major policy concern, it has ripple effects on everything that the federal government does. Civil Rights Act of 1962 has a lot to do with voting rights and non-discrimination in housing and other things, but it also affects transportation planning. And this is to ensure fair contracting and ensure minority neighborhoods are not abused. And another policy that developed in the 60s was the environmental concerns. The acronym for the National Environmental Policy Act is NEPA. And you've probably heard about having to go through the NEPA process for a project that is being undertaken. And this will continue to be an essential part of transportation planning. So the interstate program has been running for a dozen years or so. Congress is still receiving an increasing number of complaints and different priorities. And Congress really had enough. The reauthorization resulted in the creation of MPOs by Congress. They mandated them, so this wasn't an option. And under federal law, urbanized areas over 50,000 people must have an MPO to oversee transportation planning. They also funded the planning activities for the MPOs. They took a percentage of the budget and allocated it to MPOs for planning the transportation system. And that is how we're funded today. And on October 19th, 1977, the Brevard MPO was established. The creation of MPOs in 1973 was very important, but Ice-T changed the game. 18 years later, Congress is still hearing complaints. And in 1991, Congress passed the Intermodal Surface Transportation Efficiency Act, Ice-T, and they wrote into law the authority and the responsibility to craft long-range transportation plans. MPOs had to make decisions, and they had the authority to allocate federal funding. It was really a watershed event in transportation policy. The FAST Act of 2015 put an emphasis on performance measures and prioritized freight. And it was the first time that funds were transferred from general fund to the Highway Trust Fund, which is no longer able to meet our needs due to our reliance on the fuel tax. And then that brings us to our most recent authorization passed in November of 2021, which is the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, also known as BILL. And there's a policy priority on EV charging networks, sustainability, resilience to changing climates, and more equitable transportation and safety. And most of the language concerning MPO structure, authority, and responsibility is contained in 23 United States Code 134. If you ever want some reading material, this is a very nice read. And it states that once an urbanized area reaches a population of over 200,000, it becomes a transportation management area. We are categorized as a transportation management area. The TPO serves 2 urbanized area boundaries, Palm Bay, Melbourne, and Titusville urbanized areas, and a small area within the boundary of Brevard County called the Sebastian Vero Beach, UAB. And because of this, we receive additional federal funding, and we have additional responsibilities. We have full federal certification where they come down here and they spend a full day with us digging into our business, making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And Florida is among those states that have most aggressively sought to incorporate MPOs into state law. And in Florida, MPOs operate in an environment established by a combination of federal and state legislation. Chapter 339.175 clearly describes our responsibilities. So who is the Space Coast TPO? And, you know, we are unique. And clearly the transportation system is more than just highways. It's an array of modes that are used to provide mobility and serve economic and social needs in our region. And a mode simply refers to the type or means of transportation, whether we're talking about an airplane, a rocket, which is a mode of transportation in the state transportation program, or a bicycle, or if we're walking, that is a mode of transportation. And the purpose of the multimodal system is not to get everyone out of their cars. It's about providing options. And of course, we have no decision-making power over our modal agencies. However, we're responsible for ensuring safe and efficient access to those other systems. And these are things to consider in your role. The influence of each mode really does transcend jurisdictional boundaries, and that it's critical that we view transportation holistically and that we can come together and talk about it. We are organized by an interlocal agreement between Brevard's local governments, Port Canaveral, and FDOT. We're an independent organization. We are not county employees. We contract with the Board of County Commissioners for administrative support, benefits, and we pay rent for our office space. And the TPO, you all approve more than $1 billion of federal and state transportation dollars to implement projects here in Brevard County through our Transportation Improvement Program. Our governing board is supported by staff and advisory committees. We have 19 members on our board, all 5 of the county commissioners, 13 city council members, and a port commissioner. And, you know, who's in charge of the TPO? You're in charge. You know, you have direct authority over our plans and programs. We're your staff, and we know the rules very well, but you are in charge of the TPO. The governing board's strategic plan is really a 3-year guiding document, and the plan has 5 areas of emphasis: safety, linking transportation with land use, sustainability and resiliency, and innovation and technology. They're all tied to our long-range transportation plan goals. And this helps focus our efforts. It helps narrow in on where the investments should be made. And each goal has strategies, tactics, and performance measures. So member role, who really informs the process? You know, the TPO has 5 advisory committees as part of the organizational structure. And of course, Sunshine Law applies to all committees and board members. And I don't need to tell you all about Sunshine. You know all about that. We have policies and procedures that outline the roles and function of the governing board and its committees, which it includes our emergency powers, TPO authority, et cetera. So we do have an operating policy and procedures in place. Your technical advisory committee, you know, Florida law mandates that the TAC be comprised of planners and engineers and representatives from local aviation authorities, local ports, transit, and the school district. And we have all of those folks on our technical advisory committee. And the citizens advisory responsibility is really the exact opposite. We want different input. We want your opinion about things to give us different perspectives. And the CAC is made up of citizens who are interested in transportation issues and appointed by local jurisdictions. We have a bicycle, pedestrian, and trails advisory committee that makes recommendations to the board. And our Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board, the TDLCB, is an independent board supported by the TPO, and the purpose of the TDLCB is to evaluate service levels, safety, and other issues of transit operations provided by Space Coast Area Transit, serving the elderly, people with disabilities, or otherwise disadvantaged citizens. You know, transportation planning involves developing several core work products and plans and programs that will guide our investments, and these will come before you throughout the year. And this is the relationship between those core products. But I will say that public involvement is deeply embedded in throughout this whole process. It's so important to what we do. The Unified Planning Work Program is the mechanism that we use to guide and fund the work of TPO staff. It defines how much money is budgeted for TPO activities. It's our work plan. The Long-Range Transportation Plan is really the foundation for all of our transportation decisions in the region, and it must provide a vision for the future of our metropolitan area. It identifies future transportation demand, and it provides a framework for choosing transportation projects, at least to the extent that you can afford it, which is always the rub, isn't it? If a major project does not appear in the cost feasible plan of our long-range plan, it cannot receive federal funding, and it's as simple as that. This is the federal requirements, and then there's state requirements for the long-range plan, and those requirements is that we have to give emphasis to the strategic intermodal system, you know, those high priority statewide projects of statewide importance, reflect the goals of the Florida Transportation Plan, be consistent with local government comp plans, and reflect coordination among the MPOs on facilities crossing MPO boundaries. So that's the state requirement that we must abide by. Again, it's regional planning. And, you know, our list of priority projects is probably one of the most important things we do, because each year we solicit for new projects from our local governments. And we add those projects to the priority list. It's a prioritized list. We have a lot of projects on there, a lot of needs, more projects than we have money. But again, you know, it's where the planning meets the money, you might say. And when it receives some money in some phase, then it gets incorporated into the Transportation Improvement Program, which is the TPO's document. It's basically a snapshot of the DOT's work program, except this is our document that we are required to produce. And it shows an implementation phase by phase for the 5 years. And federal law states it requires that the TIP must be consistent with a long-range plan. And the point is that this document keeps the money flowing, and it's real money for real projects. And then our public participation plan. It outlines how we're going to engage the public, how we're going to interact with the public to gain input on all of those decisions. Our citizens have a stake in it. Public comment periods are noted for each required work product, and there are opportunities for public participation. We manage social media accounts. We're very active on social media, and our team, Abby does a tremendous job. I'll put our public involvement up against any MPO, I think, in the state. Our other resources and plans have been created to assist in making transportation decisions. Our sea level rise analysis, ADA bus stop analysis, bike ped master plan, our Vision Zero action plan that we just updated that you adopted, our intelligent transportation master plan, and our transportation resiliency master plan. Projects can be pulled out of these master plans, added to the priority list. So they've been vetted to a certain degree, at least. More work needs to be done, but this is a tool that we use. And then, of course, data is critical. We have to know where the problems are, and monitoring conditions is necessary to identify problems. And these are the tools that help develop project priorities and planning decisions. Traffic counts are one of the primary data sources utilized for monitoring. Each year, the TPO collects traffic counts at approximately 500 locations, and these are stored and uploaded on an interactive traffic count program on our website. And we monitor roadways and other data sets annually, and it's documented in our annual State of the System interactive dashboard. And looking forward, these are just a few of the big items that we will be working on this year. As I said, 2024 is going to be a busy year for all of us, but it's going to be an exciting year, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And yes, Mayor Blake, COCO Intermodal Station Feasibility Studies at the top of the list. And as I'm coming to an end here, I just want to touch on regional coordination. You know about the Central Florida MPO Alliance. Regional thinking is crucial. I mean, we're a member of the Alliance, 6 MPOs, 4.6 million people. I know it's more than that by now. Our issues are similar, and we need good regional connectivity for tourism, evacuation, goods movement, access to and from the Orlando facilities. And we have 3 board members here that serve on the Alliance. The Alliance is meeting this Friday, as a matter of fact. We will be heading that way for that meeting. And then the statewide MPOAC, which is where the 27 MPOs of Florida get together and talk about issues. It's the primary forum for discussing policies collectively. And Councilwoman Young is on the MPOAC, and Councilmember Willis is the alternate, and he has attended that meeting several times. So it's a really good meeting for us to get together and talk about common issues. So I will end here on general member information. I think you all know Zoe, who is our Board Services Administrator, and please get to know her. She is the main point of contact for, helping you, assisting you in any way. Of course, you can call me, review agenda packages before the meeting if you can, attend every meeting and sign in. If you cannot attend, it would be very helpful if you could let Zoe know and potentially talk to your alternate so that we're not scrambling around trying to figure out if we have a quorum. We would very much appreciate that because we understand that you all wear a lot of hats. If you change your contact information, please contact Zoe. All meetings are recorded and streamed live on YouTube, and I think we're experimenting with Facebook. And Ant Farm Media does an excellent job, very high quality. If ever you want to go back and listen to a meeting, go to the Space Coast TPO YouTube page, and you will find it there. The agenda is broken up into various categories, such as reports, consent agenda, presentations. We're going to throw as much administrative items as possible into the consent agenda. That was the direction we were given. We don't want to, we want to bring things, we know your time is valuable. And of course, you can pull anything off consent and talk about it, or pick up the phone and ask some questions. And the responsibility for each item is listed on the item sheet. So the strategic plan emphasis area for that particular item is also listed. So if we have something on the agenda, we want to make sure it's important and we're hitting our strategic emphasis area, and it falls within that somewhere. And the website and email are both used to distribute agendas, and you can find them in the Agenda Center. And minutes and meeting videos can also be found right there on our website. We recently updated our website, and I think it's very easy to navigate. And I will just end just to say, you know, the transportation planning process, I think, is complex and confusing to some of our citizens. And, you know, we appreciate your leadership. We appreciate you being on this board. And so be an advocate and help educate our citizens, you know, promote the TPO on social media, because again, we're very active. And if you see us having a public meeting somewhere about a project or DOT and it's in your area, you know, feel free to show up if you can and tell the DOT project manager that you support the project, or that you have some concerns that from your constituents, I think will be really important. But we are here, we're your staff. We have a small but mighty team, and you just let us know if you need anything. And I'll be happy to answer any questions, Madam Chair.
Any questions for Georganna?
Yes, please.
Yes, Mayor Blake.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Being a newbie here today, I'm Celtic Green, or Ivy Green, and I'm happy to be a part of the team TPO. And I will stand with the TPO and abide by all policies and procedures. And I believe in this organization.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
What happened to this? So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, any other comments or questions for Georganna before she finishes? All right, are there any member comments for the good of the order? Our next meeting is right here on March 14th at 1:30. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. A motion by Allender and second by Robinson. Thank you. Thank you all very much for letting me continue to be chair. Very appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, okay, we're going to do pictures.
I need to get some stuff.
Yes, yep.
I'm not going to run.